All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coin Mastery TV. This is Carter Thomas, your host. And today we're going to be talking all about green charts, markets, and strategies. Now, if you're new to this, we talk every day a little bit about what's going on in the markets. Honestly, I'm just going to relay some of the things I'm doing, some of the things that have worked for me. Not trying to give anyone advice, but just kind of sharing my experience along the way. And I think that this can be helpful for anybody who's in the cryptocurrency market. I also want to share a few of the trades I made, a few of the coins, and some actually really important learnings that I think that I want to share with you guys that I think will actually help you make not only better trades, but much more profitable trades. Cool. So, as always, got to get this thing going. Not a paid advertisement. I just love this stuff. Okay, so we always start off with Crypto Watch. If you've never been to Crypto Watch, you can go check it out. This is just a really good overview of what's happening in the world of crypto. And what we're looking for is a few different outliers to see what happened. So the big news, obviously, this Bitcoin and Ethereum both just crushed it yesterday. And what's funny is that I remember 2 months ago when I saw this price and it was unbelievable. And then I also remember about 2 weeks ago, I could have looked at these prices and thought that the world was falling apart. So I think that that's probably the first real big lesson, is to look at the numbers as without emotion, without any sort of inflationary ties to them, just realizing that they are what they are, and there's no you gotta stick away from how a certain number makes you feel or a certain number doesn't make you feel. You just gotta look at how it impacts the market and sentiment, not your own sentiment. You gotta look at everyone else's sentiment. That really makes a difference. But it's been a great run. So if you guys have been watching on Sunday, when everything was just completely falling apart and collapsing and everyone was running around like the world was falling apart, all we talked about is that you got to buy more stuff, that was the day to buy. And I hope you did, because by now you're probably up 30, 40, 50% on a lot of those trades, especially the ones I talked about. And life is looking pretty good. So when we look at these charts, obviously these two stand out. I think the other thing that's really interesting to me is Litecoin. Litecoin is getting a lot of good press over the last few days because it didn't go down nearly as much as Bitcoin or Ethereum. However, on the flip side, you're also seeing that it doesn't go up nearly as much. And so Litecoin has always been a little bit of a hedge against Bitcoin, in the sense that people really like it because it's almost as if Bitcoin had gone through all sorts of evolution for blockchain scaling, I should say, for fast transactions. It's a much more lightweight, no pun intended, coin. However, it's not the same as Bitcoin. It doesn't have the first market mover. It's a much smaller dev team, much smaller community. So I think that Litecoin is really just going to hum around here for a bit. I think once the dust settles with Bitcoin, we're going to start to see more action in Litecoin. But I own a lot of Litecoin. I love Litecoin. I think that Charlie Lee, the founder, is great. I think that it's a great technology. And, I also Coinbase sells it, right? And 9 million people have Coinbase accounts. That's a lot of easy access to making a coin get some market share. So that's really interesting. Now let's look around here. The story is pretty similar across the board. I look at Monero, but this is the same thing, right? It didn't go up nearly as much, but I'm not stressing about this because I know I'm holding this stuff for a very, very long time. It also it's always been pretty steady. That's also why a lot of people don't like Monero. It's because it never really gives you those massive returns, other than when it went the original, like when it was at $1.50. But that's what, the same is true with most of these big coins. So, great news. Bought it at 29 the other day, or 2 days ago. Now it's at 36. I'm stoked about that, but not really worried about this short-term price. I'm looking at more of a 1 to 3 year window on that one. Factum, picked up a little Factum, and it actually did really well for a while, for like a couple hours, I should say. I mean, we're operating on a pretty fast, almost day trading style timeline. But I don't know. I'm probably gonna get rid of that. I think it's a great coin. I think they got a great thing going, but it doesn't really have the right movements that I'm looking for. And everything else, really just, I mean, the story is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I mean, there's nothing really else to talk about. I think EOS is getting more and more attention. I think that the more volatility you see in Ethereum, the more you're going to see people looking at things like EOS as quote unquote Ethereum killers, because there's a lot of people that make very, very good arguments that at some point there's got to be some eclipse of market leader. And whether it's Ethereum eclipsing Bitcoin, some people would say yes. Some people say it's like already being shown that that's going to happen. Other people think that Ethereum is going to get overtaken by one of these new ICOs. So something like EOS has the horsepower, the infrastructure, the investment, the market cap, the tech, the team to take it over. Something like Stratus also could come around and blow everyone's mind. That's interesting to keep in mind. More and more people are getting into EOS. I do not own any, but it's definitely getting a lot of attention. So, I mean, the short story is, guys, it's a green day. Now, what does this mean for you? What does this mean for buying behavior? Well, if I were you, I would probably, potentially buy in a little bit, because this may just keep going up. I think we may see a dip, but at these growth rates, I don't know if we're going to see a big dip before, August, September. So I just don't see this slowing down. I see it maybe going horizontal and I think the growth is going to have to slow down a little bit, just because that's the nature of it. But we were so far depressed with the price that we still have a ton of room to grow. I always like to buy on the dips, but in cases like this, if you just want to buy more coin, if you just want to turn more fiat into crypto, maybe a good time to just buy a little bit, because I don't think we're going to see a huge red day for at least another week. Maybe at the end of this week, we might see some correction, but it's not going to be 40% down like it was. Could be wrong, but that's why I wouldn't say go all in on a day like today. I would wait until the next big bloodbath to make a big purchase. Okay? Now let's get to the important stuff, which is how to make you guys a lot of money. Okay. So let's look at Bitcoin here. I'm sorry, Bittrex. I'm going to log out just to make sure that everything's kosher here. Got to go back to markets. And when you see Bitcoin, there's a fair amount of action. It's funny. I got a little bit of heat from some people, not heat, but like a hard time from people about the video I put out where I said Syndicate looked like kind of a pump and dump. It was kind of a scam. And I got a lot of people that came back, especially about things like Chain Coin Syndicate, where there's all these YouTubers talking about how they can buy and hold and, they're not going to pump and dump and blah, blah. I'm like, give me a break. When it comes to money, when it comes to finance, there is no such thing as altruism. There just isn't. I mean, even when you have people that have all the money in the world, they still will operate in their best interests 10 out of 10 times. So if you hear somebody telling you, "Oh, Syndicate, we're all gonna get together and we're gonna sing Kumbaya and buy it all and hold it because we're not trying to screw anyone. We want this community to succeed," that is bullshit. I call bullshit, at least. And I think if anybody buys into that, you deserve to get smoked if you do. Now, this may work out for many people. You may be able to ride the thing up and make your money. But once people have made 50, 100% on their return, to ask everybody to not sell is ludicrous. I mean, we live in a system that is designed for people to win, as it should. So that's all I got to say about that, right? pump and dump stuff, you guys know that. I think it's like very shady. I hate it. It's the biggest ethical crock of crap. However, I'm not going to judge anybody for doing what they do. So, but, stay away from that stuff. But that was where a lot of the action was, right? And so I think what happens is when people see a lot of these green numbers, in the last few days it's been all green, they see the ones that are like, holy cow, 171, and that's what gets their attention. It's like clickbait of the finance world. And sometimes they throw money in here because they see it just screaming up, and they want to get on top of, ride that wave. It's a dangerous game to play. Now, let's talk about what I put my money into. Now, I share some of my trades. I don't actually show you my stuff, but Stratus, I bought in at 10 or, I guess 100,000 Satoshis. And then I bought in again around 14. So that was an awesome trade. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, which I think you guys will find interesting. Let me see if there's anything else. Waves I bought in at 99. So that went up about 25%. Cia Coin I bought in at 297. And a couple others. Steam I bought in at 49. So that's up, 20. And Factum, like I was saying, I think I got this around 60 or so. And Gollum, right? So overall, amazing day. And honestly, I don't think I'm special. I think that everyone who bought in anything probably did pretty well. But here's what's interesting. And I think that this is really the most important part of what I wanted to talk about today. You guys saw me on Saturday and Sunday, and I said, look, you got to go after the altcoins because they're going to get the disproportionate leverage, right? So I look at something like Verge. This went up 25% against Bitcoin. Bitcoin went up, 25% on its own. So Verge against US dollars went up 50 plus, maybe 56% when you do the math. So that's why I'm talking about like the leverage, right? You get the huge multiplier. So my strategy on Saturday and Sunday was I'm just going to buy a handful of altcoins and ride the levers, and it's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And luckily, half of them worked, or are up 25%. And 25% is where I wanted to go. That's where I set my sell order at. I'll talk about that in a second. What I realized, though, is looking back, it's not always the best strategy to buy a lot of stuff. And here's what I mean. When you diversify for buy and hold, when you look at the long term, diversification really is the name of the game, right? Like you got to diversify across asset classes, across, timing, the whole thing, right? You do index fund, dollar cost average. That's your best bet for a buy and hold long-term strategy in like 40-year window. The thing is, that is actually not a good strategy for short-term trading like this. And I think I mentioned this in one of the newsletters, maybe not. There's a really famous poker player, and he said the rule that he always wins, the reason why he wins, or blackjack player, I'm sorry, is he bets big and he bets early. And if he's not winning after the first few hands, he leaves. And the reason why this is the case, this is important, is because I would have made a lot more money, and I probably would have had a lot less, just losses, not losses, what do you call it? Like slippage, right? When things change as you're doing prices, just because like there'd be less moving parts, I would have a much better return right now from Saturday and Sunday if I had just focused on two killer trades and put all the money into those two trades. It's less diversified, but I would have been able to leverage the spikes better. Now, the obvious reaction to that is, well, how do you pick the right one? And that is the name of the game, right? And that's when you get good information. That's why you talk to a lot of people. That's why you listen to market sentiment. You do your research. You look at the trading charts. You see the sell volumes, all the things that go into making a good trade. But I'm starting to realize, as somebody who doesn't trade a lot, that it's diversification in trading is actually a bad idea. And what you really want to do is spend all your time on the research and talking to people that are really, really smart about trading and everything else. And then put in a lot more money into one or two big trades that you are very, very confident in, as opposed to taking that money and splitting it into 9 trades that you're kind of confident in. I think that the first way is how you make a lot of money if you're going to trade, and you don't trade very often. You only put the money down when you're very, very, very sure that something is going to go big. Now, obviously, when the market goes down 50%, you have a pretty good chance of making your money back. But that's something that I think is really important. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk about, the psychology of this and just like the mechanics, that it's a different business. And I learned this just going through this exercise this weekend, really changed the way I'm going to be looking at moving forward. So once these trades clear, I'm going to get all my money back and then some. My next trade is going to be much more researched around one or two trades, and I can put way more money behind that one trade. I think that that's a much better strategy. All right, so the second part of that strategy that I really want to share with you that I think will help you guys a lot is it's called, profit scalping or whatever I don't know what the exact word is. And some guys I've seen do this regularly, and these are the guys who make probably the most money trading. I don't know what their real their number amounts are, but I know that the percentages are really really impressive. What that means is, like, look at Stratus, right? So I bought Stratus, like I said, 114, right? And a good amount of it. I looked at the numbers and I said, I want to make on the 100 one, it was already up to 1600. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make at least 70% on this one because it's going to go up to 70. But I'm going to dollar cost average everything I have. I'm going to put, let's say, a 50% return on the trade. I'm going to do the math, and I'm going to set a sell order that sells however many coins I need at that new 50% inflated price that will cover my entire trade cost. All right, so let me explain that. Let's say all in, I put 3 Bitcoin into the trade across all my different trades. So 3 Bitcoin worth of Stratus, and it goes up 50%. I would set a sell order that it would be, 40% less shares, but at a 50% higher price that would equal 3 Bitcoin. So when that trade executes, I now have 3 Bitcoin. I have my initial investment back, and I still have 30 or 40% of the Stratus just for free. Like, that's my profit. So instead of taking the profit as Bitcoin, I leave the profit as shares that just stay in my wallet and can grow forever. I mean, I can always liquidate them if I want to. But starting to have that mentality, because this is what all the successful guys I know do. And I resisted it for a little while because I was like, I buy and hold, whatever. But I tried it, and it's painful because, right, I sold it at whatever, 17, 18, I think 18 on Stratus, and now it's up to, or 180, and now it's up to 194. And I'm like, oh man, if I had held it, I would have made all this money. But the plan was, sell it at this price, get the free shares. So I still have however many Stratus that I have, but it's not nearly as many as the beginning. But I didn't lose any money, and I got all this free Stratus. And so I went through last night, and I looked through all my trades. I canceled all my open sale orders that were like, sell it all at 100% return. Give me a break. And I changed it all to 25%, sell it so that I get all my money back, and then I'll have 25% of free coins left over that can just sit in my wallets. I can transfer them to my hard wallets, and they just sit there. And hopefully they go up big time, but if I ever need to liquidate them, I can. I would recommend trying this strategy. It's counterintuitive. It is not, you're not going to get anybody talking about going to the moon. It's really like just hitting a single, right? It's like the bunts and the singles adding up to give you the runs instead of trying to hit a home run on all your trades. I don't know. I would personally recommend it. It's a really good example of mental discipline, but it's also the smart way to do this. and you will make money. You can make money doing this for the next 100 years. No matter what the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum does, you can always do that strategy within this ecosystem, which is pretty exciting. And it compounds. It makes a lot of money. So anyway, that's what I learned. That's what I'm going to start doing is fewer trades, bigger Bitcoin amounts, much more research on those, and not getting greedy. Selling when I make a bit of a profit to recoup my money, and then have the free shares waiting and just look for the next opportunity. Okay. All right, great. So a couple other pieces of news. I saw this. So Goldman Sachs just released their new quarterly trading report. Their trading revenue, especially in bonds, which bonds trading, just destroys everything else in terms of volume. It's not even close. That's why bonds markets are so massive. 40%, like that's a crazy big deal. I think the other thing that's really funny, and I posted this on the Coin Mastery Facebook page, is last week Goldman Sachs patented a blockchain system that settles securities, things like bonds, assets on an exchange. So it can put a blockchain system on something like the NASDAQ. Last week they patented this. And then this week they're saying, our trading revenue is down 40%. I mean, you can't write this stuff. I mean, this is teeing itself up so perfectly to say the financial industry is going to start getting into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and blockchain and all that. Whether this means that they're going to start inflating the price, like buying actual Bitcoin, I don't know. But if they are looking at this space, they need this space, right? Like there's an actual financial need for this stuff. This is when you're going to start to see the money come in. I personally think they're going to buy Bitcoin just to have Bitcoin. I think they're going to start their own private chains and try to pull it off. But I think there'll be enough money coming into the markets that, we see a pretty big boost as these banks start to come in. One more thing, Civic hit Bittrex yesterday. Civic is actually a really cool, I'm not really into ICOs, and I did not go into this ICO, but once it hit Bittrex, let me show you, yesterday, it dropped considerably, and it went down pretty much to the price that was the pre-sale price for the ICO itself. The ICO launched at 10 cents. Now it's at 20. But if you look back, so you can see it hit the exchange right there. Try to get this dialed for you. I was down at like 67. I had a open buy order around like 4,100, 4,000 Satoshis, which obviously didn't fill. It's still there. I don't think it's going to fill, but whatever. I ended up buying in right around here again. Like I bought in about 74. I bought it at 77. Bought in again around 84. And I think I bought in at 86. Not much, just like a couple Bitcoin. But if this goes down, like I'm going to watch the sell volume pretty closely today. If this goes down to the 7 to 730, 7,000, 7,300 range, I'm probably going to buy a bunch more. And the reason why is, one, I love the product. You can download the app; it's killer, and the industry is awesome. It's like revolutionizing identity, which I know is a very, very hot topic in the investment world for blockchain. But I'm also investing in this guy, Vinny Lingham, who, if you don't know him, you can go follow him on Twitter. He wrote this awesome blog post yesterday making a case for tokens as the next kind of software thing, right? The next thing that's going to really revolutionize the world, in both from venture capital, but also just in terms of applications and usage. Really terrific article. This guy, Vinny, has had a very successful career in Silicon Valley, where we're located. And I think that he's going to do some really awesome stuff. He's really well networked in the blockchain and venture capital world. And I think I just, I think he's got a great thing going. He's got a little bit of a bad rep from what I can tell from some of the Bitcoin people. Like, I think he sold a bunch of Bitcoin or made a bad call a couple of years ago, but who didn't? So I really believe in him. I really believe in the product and the industry, and they got a monster team behind them. So, like I said, I'm gonna go in for probably around here. If it comes down, I'm definitely gonna watch this sell volume, but and then keep watching it. I think I'll probably try to hold on to this stuff for foreseeable future. I think that this one has the potential to go big. May just be a quick turnaround, but I like it. Of all the ICOs I've seen, this is the one that I can get behind because for me it always comes down to who the people are, how well networked they are, how good the product is, and right place, right time type of thing. So go check it out. You can go, if you go to vinnylingham.com, you'll see his posts, or go follow him on Twitter. He tweeted about this. I think he has it pinned. You go check out Civic. Someone in the YouTube comments asked me if I could go into Counterparty a little bit, and I wanted to just touch on Counterparty. I think Counterparty is very, very interesting. I don't own any Counterparty because the volume's pretty low, and I'm fascinated with profiting on the growth right now. You can check this out. What's interesting is it's almost like an Ethereum token, but for the blockchain, for the Bitcoin blockchain. That to me is why it's really interesting. I think the other thing that's really cool is you can make your own coin really easily. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you wanted to make your own ICO, or you wanted to just create your own currency of some sort, Counterparty almost has a WYSIWYG editor where you can go in and you can create your own wallet and token very easily, and you can just whip it up and have an ICO for all they care, whatever. So here it is, right? It's pretty easy to set up. That's not it. Where is it? I think it's some features. Internet here is a little slow. But Counterparty is really cool. It's got a really good dev team. They're small from a trading standpoint. It's a small volume stock, but this is one of those companies that if they get the right people at the right time, and they get some companies to use this token maker. That's really what I see as the deal breaker. They got to get so. As a marketer, I'm a marketer, by nature. I always tend to think that marketing tends to solve most problems in business, growth, marketing, whatever. I look at Counterparty, and my big concern is, do they have the marketing horsepower to get enough people to go and make these tokens? If the answer is yes, it's going to blow up. If the answer is no, if they're not focused on getting people to make tokens, if they're focused on building some solution that nobody ends up ever using, it's just going to become one of 50 token potential things on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain. So I don't know. That's my big thing. I think the other thing is that it could potentially have some sort of, they do some stuff with voting, I think, where you can go and vote with elections, but that's a big problem. And I think you got to be a big company to be able to solve that. I also think that they got to integrate with something like Civic, some sort of identity focused platform for that to be worthwhile. So Counterparty is great. I know I got to learn more about it before I buy in. If I do buy in, it's definitely going to be a long-term thing because it's just too small from a market cap standpoint. But, it's interesting. A lot of people I know like it. It's really, really, really good tech. It's just I'm not totally sold that the marketing they have that figured out. Now, last thing I wanted to talk about, just for random, is if you guys don't know about this, the GBTC. This is you can go and buy. This is like a stock, over the counter stock, so it's not like a real stock on the exchange. But these guys, it's a company that just owns, I think it's like 180,000 Bitcoin and a couple other assets in the Bitcoin world. So it's almost like a stock that you can trade against the Bitcoin, pricing. And what's interesting, and I have not tried this, is there's going to be a delay between Bitcoin price exchange and this price exchange. Just by the nature of how markets work, there's going to be some sort of delay. There may be some sort of arbitrage here. I don't know if it's feasible by any means. I've not tried this. But what's interesting is, right, as a stock, this does not trade 24 hours a day the way that Bitcoin does. So yesterday, Bitcoin was screaming, but this thing was down like 15, 20% because Bitcoin is still, the price is still pretty depressed. So it's just like an interesting thing to keep in mind. Anytime that you see these derivative markets, or securities, I guess in this case, there's always some sort of arbitrage opportunity. Whether or not it's feasible without really high-tech software is TBD, but who knows. So anyway, guys, that's Tuesday, July 18th. That's really the overview. Happy trading. I think if nothing else, today what I'm going to do is probably sit back, wait for a few things to open up. I'm going to wait and see if any good deals open up around here. Not a whole lot to do. I'm just going to kind of let the market do its thing, maybe do some research, but not get too crazy. Potentially, buying a little bit to Bitcoin just as a hedge, but I'm really I did a lot of my action on Saturday and Sunday, so now it's kind of step back, harvest what I planted, and wait till the next run. So in the meantime, guys, stay safe, get rich. No, I shouldn't say that. Enjoy yourselves and make a lot of money. Be smart, make really good trades. Let me know if you have any questions. And I wish you nothing but freedom, liberty, and a seat in the financial revolution. Guys, this is Carter Thomas of CoinMastery.com signing off. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.